This isn't simply another modified version. The all-new Tank 300 is here. It brings fresh colors, a redesigned front end, a longer wheelbase, and larger dimensions overall. It also gets Hi4-Z and Hi4-T equipment, plenty of power, and the 4T version comes standard with LiDAR and all-around assisted driving. It can support both hard and soft bridges, and it can even accommodate a large Veyron.
A quick shout out to our automotive partner in China for sharing this video and helping make it possible. Thank you for your support. Hey everyone, it's Jennifer from motortorque. If you enjoy staying up to date with the latest automotive news, reviews, and industry updates, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of our exciting content. Thanks for watching, and let's get started.
3, 2, 1, let's get started. The new Tank 300 now comes in 3 additional colors: yellow, red, and cyan. And this dazzling yellow looks absolutely incredible, doesn't it? If you like this color, hit that thumbs up button. Imagine driving this thing to the foot of a snow-covered mountain and standing on it to scatter thongs. It would definitely grab everyone's attention. But there's one change that I personally find a little disappointing. That large, shiny Tank logo in the middle is gone. In its place, we now get a horizontal 4-letter grille featuring the GWM lettering. The Tank 300's global character is now even stronger, and the overall design looks seriously rugged. The front bumper uses a 3-section modular setup. Basically, if you accidentally damage one part, you don't have to replace the entire bumper. You can simply swap out the damaged section. These 4 rivet points are also reserved modification interfaces. You can remove them directly, and if you're someone who loves installing bull bars or other modifications, you can easily add them here. Guys, have you noticed anything different about the front appearance? The wheelbase is wider, while the lower section has also been slightly widened. The entire vehicle has been raised by 1 inch, which definitely gives it a much more imposing look from the front. But that's not the biggest change. The real difference becomes obvious when we move to the side. From this angle, you can clearly see that the vehicle looks much more stretched. I think the biggest update to this new 300 is the wheelbase, which has increased by 260 millimeters. That extra length gives the vehicle a larger and more substantial presence. At the same time, the front axle is shorter, making the 4-wheel drive character feel even stronger. In fact, the entire stance of the vehicle is changed. There's also another small update here. This is the interface for the camera box. Together with the other design changes, it adds to that rugged, aggressive appearance. And because the vehicle has now been raised by 1 centimeter, ground clearance has reached 235 millimeters, while the depth of field is 800 millimeters. More importantly, with the longer wheelbase, have you noticed how advantageous the L113 position has become? On one side, there's more crumple space, which improves safety, but the bigger benefit is that it can accommodate a larger engine. Since Great Wall Motors is no longer producing the WEB5, this vehicle will definitely use the WEB5 engine. Another important point is the shorter front axle. That gives the vehicle an approach angle of 38 degrees, so its geometric clearance is even better. There aren't really any major changes to the side profile or overall design. The key thing to notice is how different the stance looks after extending the wheelbase. Doesn't it look much more powerful and imposing now? And then there are the blue driver assistance lights, including the blue lights integrated into the taillights. Doesn't that feel slightly unusual or maybe even a little arrogant? Almost like the car is saying, I can perform and I'm smart. Now, take a look at the floor height here. You can definitely get a great photo from this position, and you can even go up 2 steps at once. Okay, that works too. So, are you satisfied with the trunk floor height? Let me show you something else. This vehicle even has its own battery pack. As for the issue everyone has been asking about, yes, you can still see the battery pack underneath, but when you're standing farther away, you actually won't notice the battery pack underneath. With the T model, the battery is positioned onto the carpet inside the trunk, so there's no battery pack in this particular location. And that's exactly why we often say that if your priority is pure, hardcore off-road driving, the T model is the one you should choose.
Even though the battery pack has multiple reinforcement structures and is designed to withstand bumps and impacts, it's still understandable to worry about possible damage. The battery pack also has an effect on longitudinal clearance. Because the new Tank 300 has a longer wheelbase, its longitudinal clearance is already 2 degrees lower than the previous model. The regular T model has 21 degrees of clearance, while the original short wheelbase version offered 23 degrees. Now, with the battery pack taking up additional space, the T model loses another 2 degrees, bringing it down to 19 degrees. However, even though the longitudinal clearance is reduced, the ground clearance remains slightly higher because the lowest point of the T model is around the larger axle, but its lowest point is, you see, this is the Demon Bridge. The battery itself actually sits higher than this point, so in practice, the vehicle's clearance is higher than the T. The new Tank 300 has also been raised, giving it a 38-degree approach angle, so overall, its off-road performance remains very impressive. At this height, it can easily deal with rough terrain and challenging off-road roads. This is also the first time the entire Tank 300 lineup has been equipped with Hi4-D power. Under standard conditions, the pure electric range reaches 251 kilometers, and as I mentioned earlier, LiDAR and all-around assisted driving comes standard as well. So, are you guys impressed yet? Now let's head inside and take a look at the interior, especially this red color. Honestly, I think it's just okay. It's not that the red looks bad. The main issue is that it doesn't pair particularly well with the yellow exterior. Red and yellow, as they say in Beijing slang, can look a little, well, let's just call it slightly off-putting. You probably know what I mean. That's basically the visual effect. But if you pair the red interior with a red exterior, I actually think it looks pretty striking. It gives the whole vehicle a much more performance-focused atmosphere. To be honest, I don't remember every detail of the previous Tank 300 interior, so today we'll just take a quick look around and let you judge the upgrades for yourself. First, I remember the old shift knob being somewhat bulky and rounded. This one is now completely round, while the leather section in the middle has a relatively rough texture. Overall, I think the design of this shift knob suits the character of this vehicle. The column-mounted shifter has also been upgraded and feels more refined. I wonder if anyone is still saying an off-road vehicle shouldn't have a column shifter. Personally, I think it's perfectly fine. At least it doesn't take up valuable space in the center console, right? The 2 air conditioning vents underneath are quite traditional. They can move left and right, as well as up and down, which I think is a nice touch. This one uses a turbine-style design, and every time you turn it, you get that distinctive sound. Moving over to the center console, there are 2 wireless fast charging areas. The passenger seat has also been upgraded with 6-way electric adjustment and an 8-point massage function. Then we have this regular storage compartment. But interestingly, this area actually includes a built-in refrigerator with cold air circulation. There's an air conditioning opening that you can open, so during summer you can place your drinks here and keep them cool. And now you can also choose the refrigerator option. The biggest change I almost forgot to mention is the addition of 6 aircraft-style buttons. They've all been pre-wired, and each button supports up to 300 watts of power. So instead of cutting wires, you can directly connect accessories, such as lights, footrests, or air pumps. I think that's a pretty significant upgrade because it makes modifications much easier and more convenient. The interior changes on the new Tank 300 may not be particularly dramatic, but there are 40 reserved modification points throughout the vehicle. That includes areas like this, the front bumper, auxiliary fuel tank, footrests, and more. I think that's extremely convenient and really suits the character of this vehicle. Now I've moved into the rear seats. I know many of you are probably curious about rear seat space because the wheelbase has been extended by 260 millimeters.
However, that additional wheelbase length is mainly concentrated around the L113 position. From what I understand, the goal is to improve the vehicle's stance and provide better power delivery. It isn't specifically intended to increase rear passenger space. So where does the improvement in rear seat comfort come from? Not here, but right here. Did you notice it? It's the angle of the rear backrests. They've now been adjusted to provide a larger angle, which makes the overall seating position more comfortable. Our Hi4 system also has 27 sensing components distributed throughout the vehicle, and a panoramic system will be available later as well. So that's everything for today's look at the new Tank 300. So, free spirits? What score would you give it? In simple terms, this vehicle is all about more equipment, stronger power, and comprehensive assisted driving. The entire vehicle is bigger and rugged, while offering even more possibilities for expanding and customizing your driving experience. Embrace your free spirit and your freedom of attitude. With this vehicle, you can take on any mountain or river. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching another episode of Let's Get Electric, and I'll see you in the next one.